Hello everyone and welcome back to Into the Plot. In today's video, we're diving into Pluribus episode 3. This video contains spoilers, so make sure you've watched all 3 episodes before continuing. This episode starts with a flashback to a few years before the joining. I think the reason for this scene is to show us how impossible it is to please Carol. She can't find joy in anything. Even Helen mentions you like suffering. Some people has this theory that the main reason Carol is immune to the virus is that she's unable to feel happiness. Of course, there are many people in the world that don't have a good life or experience a lot of traumas, but this scene shows she's not the most miserable person because of whatever trauma happened to her. Actually, despite all the good in her life, she's unable to appreciate any of it. But I don't think this is the reason because the other 11 immune individuals don't seem to be like this. Carol also says something important. She mentions she had her eggs frozen. This could come into play on how the hive mind might try to convert her as well. The hive can use those eggs to crack the code that makes Carol immune. Alright, let's get into the big question. How far will the hive go to make Carol happy, and why are they even doing this? I think there are a few different ways to think about what's going on with the hive. One possibility is fear. Maybe the hive mind isn't being kind at all, maybe it's terrified of her. Carol basically can wipe out millions of them with a single emotional spike or a reckless decision. From this angle, their obsession with keeping her happy makes perfect sense. It's for their survival. So in this case, Carol is the one with power. Another theory is that the hive mind main goal is happiness for all, and all their desires is met after infecting everyone. But what do they do when their biological imperative does not work on an individual? They still need to make that person happy and satisfy their desires while working on infecting them, yet because this person isn't connected to the hive on a psychic level, they can want things that go directly against their own survival and everyone else's. This creates an uncomfortable reality for the hive mind that cannot be resolved, because denying something the individual wants, even though it could cause their destruction or others, is not part of their programming. There's also a much darker possibility. If the hive mind is built out of the memories of the dead, then the individuals inside them aren't really alive anymore. Whatever they are now, they lost their agency and autonomy. They are essentially gone, even if their voices still echo through the hive. And if that's the case, then the hive isn't being honest with Carol at all. They're not happy, they're not at peace, and they're definitely not being kind to the survivors. They are observing them, monitoring them, waiting for the moment when it benefits the collective to make a move. Because why do they keep irritating her? If their mission is to keep her calm, why do they constantly show up when she wants space? Why bring up Helen knowing exactly how that affects her? They have access to every psychologist who ever lived, and yet sometimes they behave like they have zero emotional intelligence. So maybe they're not as harmless as they pretend. Also, everyone is asking who is controlling them. Maybe there is no hidden leader, no mastermind, no final boss. Maybe the hive really is just the merged consciousness of everyone. The we isn't a code word, it literally is them, one big blended mind following its nature. If that's true, then asking who's controlling them is a wrong question. No one is, because the collective is the controller. I think the strongest way for Carol to fight back is to figure out how to break individuals away from the hive mind. The alcohol and the pills she takes might be hints, or maybe it's something more extreme, like a near-death experience, similar to what happened to Zosha, that could force a disconnection from the others. And I have a feeling that the guy from Paraguay is eventually going to seek her out, and the two of them will work together to find a solution. The way she cursed him was different from how the others behave. Maybe Carol did this intentionally to prove she's not part of them. The scene from the supermarket was to show how egoistical and self-absorbed Carol is. Also, Carol believes she is independent, but they showed her it takes a lot of hands to make that possible. Let's go through some small details. I found it interesting that you could hear the ambulance siren in the background. You would think they have no need for that. Also, there is a poster at the entrance to Sprouts saying every meal is a choice. Another detail is that Carol didn't call. They called her assuming that she might have felt anxious due to the power outage. Also, every time they call, it says, "It's us, Carol." I find it very terrifying. The theme song to the Golden Girls is called "Thank You for Being a Friend." This line was blasting out at the exact moment Zosha is knocking on the door. I found this episode very interesting because we're finding this information out as Carol finds it out. The hive is supposed to feel comforting and threatening, protective and manipulative all at once. Just like Carol, we're not meant to fully understand it yet. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have interesting theories or notice other hidden details.